The internet is an awful, foul place full of mean people who do mean things for mean reasons. Mini AOC was doxxed and threatened. Family shuts down all her social media accounts. If you're not familiar with Mini AOC, it is a little girl who pretends to be Ocasio-Cortez and makes jokes. She's like 8 years old, so it's probably her dad writing the script for her, but it's kind of funny. In one segment, so this is the Daily Caller. I want to read the Daily Caller, but I do have the Fox News version pulled up. The Fox News is really short. But we can see this is who she is. She is a little girl, and she says silly things. In one of in this Fox segment, they highlight one of her videos where she says, "I've never seen a garbage disposal, but I've also never seen Bigfoot or the inside of a book." And I thought that was really funny. Congratulations. When you're famous, people make fun of you. Right now, I'm working on a video for later today about censorship, and I'm arguing with some Antifa people, and they're posting pictures of me making fun of me for being bald or being an NPC. And you know what? I gotta be honest. I laugh. It's crazy to me. I talked about this the other day. Oh, actually, let's do this. Before I go on to like a philosophical rant or moral rant, I want to talk about what happened to Mini AOC. She's a little girl. They doxed and threatened her, okay? I say the family of a young girl who went viral for mocking Democratic New York Rep AOC shut down all her social accounts after receiving death threats and harassing phone calls. A tweet from the account purporting to belong to the little girl's stepfather said she will not be doing any more content because the harassment and death threats have gone too far and threaten her and her family's safety. Ava will not be doing any more Mini AOC content. The left's harassment and death threats have gone too far for our family. We have been getting calls on our personal phone numbers for our safety and our child's safety. We deleted all Mini AOC accounts. She recently did this tweet where she was pretending to be AOC standing at doing the fake PR thing or whatever. I want to point something out. Do you know who Desmond is amazing is? There are several children who are drag queens, and they have also been doxxed. They have also been threatened. They have also been harassed. It is wrong. It is wrong, wrong, wrong. It doesn't take, I don't know, some kind of like special political position to recognize these things are wrong. It doesn't take being on the left or being on the right to be morally correct. Like, or I shouldn't say morally correct because, of course, people are going to argue one side is better or worse. The point I'm trying to make is, even if you don't like Mini AOC for mocking Ocasio-Cortez, harassing a little girl and her family is absolutely wrong. And the same is true for Desmond is amazing. If you don't like what his parents are doing, sending them harassing phone calls and death threats and threatening them and sending letters is wrong. Now, by all means, criticize them and their families. I've made a couple of videos critical of Desmond's family. I think that is completely appropriate. I'm not going to call the kid and like yell at him. I'm going to be like, hey, here's what's happening. Here's what some people have said. Here's how I feel about it. That's acceptable. The same is true for Mini AOC, but it absolutely crosses the line when you get to the point where you're harassing the family, calling them from blocked numbers. That shouldn't be acceptable for anybody. And this is why we can't have nice things, okay? Now, I think I will say this. I bring that up specifically to say there have been other instances of young kids who have been harassed for being in the public, and it's wrong, but I'm not trying to create like a moral equivalent between what Mini AOC is doing and what Desmond is doing. I'm personally critical of what, Desmond's family is doing with these child drag kids, because it's one thing to have the kids play dress up. That I really don't care about. If your kid wants to march, like there was one video of like a pride parade where a little kid was wearing a dress and just like bouncing up and down, and like some conservatives got mad. And then the centrists, like people like me, rightly were like, who cares? Look, I get it. It's one thing when the kid's pulling his clothes off and people are throwing dollar bills at him. That, like, dude, I am familiar with how the stripping industry works. There are bars where women don't get fully naked. They do the same thing. They're modeled very similarly. That, in my opinion, is a step over the line, and I will criticize that. A little kid wearing a dress, jumping up and down at a parade, I really don't care about. If your kid wants to play dress up at home and you want to post pictures on the internet, like, I think there's some, like, child pageant issues with that. I also will be a tad critical towards Mini AOC because it's funny that she's doing this, but the parents are choosing to put her out there, and we know how volatile things can be. Admittedly, though, it's a really tepid criticism. For the most part, I think Mini AOC is hilarious and okay, and it's just a little girl doing photo shoots and making jokes. That, to me, is not crossing the line. So, one is worse than the other in terms of the criticism, but the threats, the harassment, the doxing is wrong across the board, no matter who it is, whether it's the drag kids or it's Mini OC or otherwise. And you know what? I just feel like I'm always preaching to the choir because, of course, you all get it. I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of people saying, of course, they think Desmond is worse. Of course, they think Mini OC is okay. It's all wrong. But I'm pretty sure 99% of people are going to be like, man, that sucks that everyone's doing this. The threats are wrong. So it feels like, choir preaching. I will say this. It sucks that Mini AOC is coming to an end because I did find it very funny. And it was a little girl who was doing comedy. And she was doing it well, obviously with the guidance of her parents. But she was doing something that she found fun. And I'd imagine that you get, a child like this excited about doing, comedy and to an extent acting. And then people are going to, or she's going to get, she's going to get passionate about it. I think something like this could be a good thing for her growing up. Granted, there are issues with child acting that, could maybe screw the kids up. But I don't think we need to necessarily read too much of the story because I think we get who Mini AOC is. So I'll say this for now. No one should ever be harassed, threatened, doxxed, regardless of who you are, regardless of the political debate, regardless of the arguments. That's different. I will also say that the Desmond family and the drag kids, they're saying that getting investigated by Child Protective Services harassment. It's not. If the kids are on stage dancing and law enforcement are going to investigate, that's not harassment. Okay. If people are sending you threatening letters, yeah, we're crossing that line. But back to the point I wanted to make in the beginning, because I did a video about this, I don't know, like last week, and I'm very proud of this point, right? I want to make it clear. You will be made fun of, be it Ocasio-Cortez getting mocked by a little girl, or the Ocasio-Cortez parody account, which was taken down a month ago for being misleading, which is insane. Yes, you're going to get made fun of. Trump gets made fun of all day and night. One of the most popular Ocasio-Cortez parody accounts was suspended. They called it misleading. I think that's complete BS. It said parody in the name. It said parody in the description. This, to me, is like, you can see the bias from the left, and it's heavily in favor of censoring their political rivals. But the point I wanted to make is that I mentioned there are people who make fun of me. They make NPC memes about me. And the specific point that I wanted to highlight was that in a video, a live stream, it was Owen Benjamin. I'm not super familiar with who he is. I know he's like a comedian. He said that I was I can't remember exactly what he said, but he said something like I was an ugly half-breed who looks ridiculous. Somebody sent me this link and I played it, and he said that, and I laughed. I found it genuinely funny. He called me, and then, my response to people, when they sent me that, I'm like, well, I prefer Daywalker because, Blade and the vampires, or Mudblood because I like Harry Potter and I'm a millennial, right? It's just a silly joke. It means literally nothing to me. There are people there have been parody accounts of me on YouTube, on Twitter, and there are actual accounts that are trying to smear me. And you know what? I just don't care. I just really don't care. There are so many other things to worry about. I mean, you know what I'm more concerned about the other day? Excuse me. When people are posting these things, I was more concerned about whether or not I was going to get a ticket for the new Spider-Man, as opposed to someone making fun of me and calling me ugly. I don't care if you think I'm ugly. I think you're ugly. Whatever, who cares? There's a lot of ugly people walking around, and not everybody thinks everybody else is attractive. Now, you want to argue about saying I'm an ugly half-breed is now like bigoted or racist or whatever. I still don't care. Let me tell you another funny story. I don't know if I should name the individual I was talking to, though, but for their sake. But I did mention this a long time ago. I was talking to somebody about YouTube demonetization. And I was saying, it seems like YouTube is randomly stripping ads from content. And I'm talking to this, this right-wing individual, and I said, my mom makes math tutorial videos, and even she is getting demonetized. And the response was, why am I not surprised your Korean mom makes math tutorial videos? And I started laughing, and I immediately sent a message to my mom telling her the joke, and she laughed too. We get it. It's not meant to be, derogatory. It's meant to be silly. It's mocking the stereotype. It's pointing out how funny it is that there's a stereotype of Asians doing math, and there's my mom making math videos. I thought it was hilarious. And I also kind of take it as a compliment. Like, my mom taught me math at a young age. Good, I'm glad she did. But that's the thing. I think most people who get offended, the people who are threatening Mini AOC, the people who got the parody account taken down, are just, overly sensitive, very soft and fragile, squirming, little terrified things who just I think there's two things to it. Some people who just can't take criticism at all, even if it's a joke not meant to be insulting you. And there are some people who are like, I'm going to pretend to be angry right now so I can get this person removed because because they're my political rival. So you end up with like half of these fragile little snowflakes on the left. I love how the left and the right both call each other snowflakes. And I think to a certain extent, they're certainly right-wing snowflakes. Well, I'll get into that in a second. But these people are very fragile and scared. They're offended by a flag. So you Colin Kaepernick gets the shoe removed. Oh, grow up, dude. If you don't like the flag, don't buy it. And then if nobody buys the shoe, Nike will stop doing it. Stop imposing your will on others, you authoritarian wingnuts, right? But, I'm going to leave it there because I don't want to make this a 20-minute video. I won't go into any greater detail on that. I think you get the point. A lot of the smears, a lot of the takedowns, I think it's absolutely in bad faith. They're pretending to be outraged because these companies bend the knee. In this instance, they couldn't get many AOC suspended because it wasn't misleading, so what do? Well, in come the barrage of threats and the harassment and all that stuff, so I can't say I'm surprised, but I can say this. Grow up. Be an adult. Sometimes people say mean things, and there's nothing you can do about it. Of course, we're seeing all these nonprofits emerge, and they're now pushing for overt censorship. But that's going to be my bigger segment for later today at 4 p.m. on the main channel, because it's a developing story, but the left is absolutely facing the brunt of the recent censorship and policy changes at YouTube and otherwise, and I can't say I'm surprised. You reap what you sow. Stick around, the next segment will be up at 1 p.m. on this channel, and I will see you all then.